All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
And today we're going to the sometimes wild, sometimes thought-provoking world of Reddit relationship advice. That place where people go to share their craziest relationship dilemmas and the internet weighs in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're diving into a post that really got me thinking.
Okay.
It's one of those wait, what kind of situations that makes you question everything.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah. What about these forums is so fascinating is they capture the raw human experience. You see vulnerability, diverse perspectives, and sometimes a glimpse into the complexities of mental health
absolutely.
while playing out in the comments section.
And the post we're looking at today
Yeah.
is titled, I M37 Lost. My wife, F37, is now a gay witch.
Oh, wow.
It's a doozy, and it's gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Thousands of comments, all
Oh.
trying to unpack what's going on.
The sheer number of responses really speaks to the universality of the themes here. We're talking about identity, change within a long-term relationship, mental health, and even the role of spirituality.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah.
For those who aren't familiar with Reddit, it's this massive online community with forums called subreddits.
Okay.
r/relationship advice is where people go to, well, seek relationship advice. But as you'll see, it's not always straightforward. So the original poster, who we'll call the husband, starts by describing his marriage.
Okay.
He and his wife have been together for almost 15 years.
Right.
And he paints a picture of their early years as being pretty solid.
Okay.
They're each other's best friends. Both came from what he describes as religiously traumatic backgrounds.
Interesting.
And they were committed to personal growth.
This shared background of religious trauma is an important detail, I think.
Yeah.
It suggests a potential vulnerability to seeking meaning and belonging in new, sometimes unconventional ways.
It's like they were searching for something to fill a void, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And when traditional belief systems have caused harm, it's natural to look elsewhere for answers.
So fast forward 7 years and they have their second child.
Okay.
The husband says his wife fell into a deep depression after the birth. He describes her as being incapacitated for a while.
Oh, wow.
And he basically had to take care of everything.
Yeah.
He supported her through therapy, and medication really stepped up as partner.
Wow, what a guy.
But then things take a turn.
Okay.
After a few years, she starts to come out of the depression, but also starts exploring her identity and comes out to him as gay.
Wow.
Or possibly bisexual.
This is where the idea of personal growth within a relationship becomes really interesting.
Right.
How do couples navigate such fundamental shifts in identity? How much change can a relationship withstand while still maintaining its core foundation?
It's the question everyone's asking in the comments.
Yeah.
And as if that wasn't enough, a few months later,
Uh-oh.
she tells him she's a witch.
And believes she has psychic abilities.
This sudden embrace of witchcraft, while seemingly out of left field, might actually be rooted in something deeper.
Okay.
Could it be a form of rebellion against the restrictive religious environment she grew up in? And how does that clash with the husband's own background, creating a potential ideological divide?
You're making me think, could this be her way of reclaiming her power?
Possibly.
And finding a sense of spiritual belonging outside of traditional religion?
It's certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
For some, witchcraft, with its focus on personal power, connection to nature, and rejection of traditional hierarchies, can be a way to heal from religious trauma and create a sense of spiritual autonomy.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But then the story takes another unexpected turn.
Okay.
She tells him she's going to a work conference.
All right.
But he later finds out it was actually an LSD healing ritual disguised as a conference.
This is where the ethical implications come into play. The fact that she felt the need to deceive him about this experience suggests a breakdown in trust and communication.
Right.
It also raises questions about her decision-making and whether she was fully aware of the potential risks involved, especially given her mental health history.
And it gets even more complicated because she had a minor stroke around this time.
Oh, my gosh.
And turns out she'd stopped taking her antidepressants a couple of months before the retreat.
This raises serious concerns about her judgment.
Yeah.
Going off antidepressants abruptly can be dangerous, potentially triggering withdrawal symptoms and even relapse.
Right.
And using LSD without proper preparation and guidance, especially with a history of mental health challenges, is incredibly risky.
It's like she was on a path of self-discovery, but maybe went about it in a way that put her health and her relationship at risk.
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
The desire for personal growth is valid,
Right.
but it's important to consider the impact of our choices on ourselves and those around us.
You're right. There are a lot of layers to this story, and it's left the husband feeling lost and confused.
He's essentially grieving the person he thought he knew,
Right.
the life they built together.
Yeah.
It's a lot to process.
And we haven't even touched on the Reddit community's reaction to the LSD aspect of this story,
Oh, yeah.
which was a whole debate in itself.
Oh, I bet.
But we'll get into that in part 2 of our deep dive, so stay tuned.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
So welcome back, you guys.
Yeah, we're back.
When we left off, we were talking about how the husband is grappling with his wife's drastic transformation. This story really blew up online, with tons of people speculating about what's going on with the wife mentally.
A lot of the comments were throwing around terms like bipolar disorder and schizoaffective disorder.
Yeah.
It's heavy stuff.
Right.
So what are those conditions exactly?
Yeah.
And could they explain some of what we're seeing with the wife?
Let's start with bipolar disorder.
Okay.
It's characterized by extreme shifts in mood, energy, and activity levels. Think of it like a pendulum swinging between two extremes:
Okay.
mania and depression.
Right.
During a manic episode, someone might feel euphoric, have racing thoughts, be incredibly impulsive, and engage in risky behavior.
Okay.
But then the pendulum swings the other way,
Yeah.
and they can crash into a depressive episode feeling hopeless, lethargic,
Right.
and losing interest in things they once enjoyed.
So thinking about the wife's actions,
Yeah.
could her coming out as gay, embracing witchcraft, and the impulsive LSD retreat
Yeah.
be signs of a manic episode?
It's possible.
Okay.
The impulsivity and the sudden interest in a new belief system
Yeah.
could fit the pattern,
Right.
but it's important to remember we can't diagnose from a Reddit post.
Yeah. Sure.
Mental health is complex, and a diagnosis should only be made by a qualified professional after a proper evaluation.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's easy to jump to conclusions, but
Right.
we need to be careful about labeling someone based on limited information.
Exactly.
What about schizoaffective disorder?
Okay.
How is that different from bipolar disorder?
Schizoaffective disorder is a bit more complicated.
Okay.
It combines features of both schizophrenia and a mood disorder, like bipolar disorder.
Okay.
This means someone experiencing schizoaffective disorder might have hallucinations, delusions, and disorganized thinking, along with those extreme mood swings we see in bipolar disorder.
The husband did mention that his wife believes she has psychic abilities.
Right.
Could that be related to schizoaffective disorder?
Remember how we talked about delusions?
Yeah.
Those are firmly held beliefs that are not based in reality.
Okay.
They're a common symptom of both bipolar disorder and schizophrenia.
Got it.
If someone is having a psychotic episode, they might become convinced of things that are not true, like having special powers. But again, we can't know for sure without a professional evaluation.
Right. It sounds like it's really important for the husband to encourage his wife to seek help from a qualified professional.
Absolutely. If someone's mental health is impacting their relationships, their ability to function, or their safety,
Yeah.
seeking additional support is crucial.
Now, a lot of the commenters on Reddit also pointed to the wife's religious trauma
Yeah.
as a potential factor in her embrace of witchcraft.
Right.
Can you explain that connection for us?
Sure. Religious trauma is a real and often overlooked form of trauma
Okay.
that can stem from harmful experiences within a religious environment.
Okay.
It can involve things like spiritual abuse, shaming, and a loss of autonomy,
Wow.
leaving people feeling deeply wounded and searching for meaning and belonging outside of the religious framework that caused them harm.
So in this case, could witchcraft be seen as a way for her to reclaim her agency and find a new spiritual path that feels empowering?
It's definitely a possibility for some witchcraft with its focus on personal power.
Right.
Connection to nature and rejection of those rigid hierarchies often found in organized religion can be a way to heal from religious trauma and create a sense of spiritual autonomy. It allows them to define their own beliefs and practices.
That makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk about the LSD retreat.
Okay.
This part of the story really sparked a debate online.
Oh, yeah.
Some people thought it was a terrible idea, especially given her mental health history, while others were more open to the idea of psychedelics for healing purposes.
Right.
What's your take on this?
The use of psychedelics for therapeutic purposes is a growing area of research.
Okay.
There's evidence suggesting that substances like LSD and psilocybin, when used in a controlled setting with proper guidance from trained professionals,
Okay.
can be beneficial in treating conditions like depression, anxiety, and even addiction.
Interesting.
But it's crucial to emphasize that these are powerful substances,
Yeah.
and they should never be used without the supervision of trained professionals.
So in this case, the wife going off her medication and attending this retreat in secret,
Yeah.
that wasn't exactly responsible use, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Her actions raise serious concerns about her judgment and decision-making abilities.
Right.
Abruptly stopping antidepressants can be dangerous, and using LSD without proper preparation and support can be incredibly risky, especially for someone with a history of mental health challenges.
It sounds like there was a real lack of communication and honesty in the relationship,
Yeah.
especially regarding her decision to participate in the LSD retreat.
Honesty and trust are foundational to a healthy relationship.
Right.
When those elements erode, it can be incredibly challenging to rebuild them.
Absolutely.
This situation really underscores the importance of open and honest communication even, or perhaps especially when things get tough.
Now, putting aside the specifics of the wife's choices, I think a lot of people listening can relate to the feeling of being blindsided by their partner's actions. It's like, who is this person I'm with?
Absolutely. The husband is experiencing a kind of grief.
Yeah.
The loss of the person he thought he knew, the life they built together, and perhaps even the future he envisioned for their family.
Yeah.
It's incredibly disorienting and painful.
You mentioned that he's grieving. Do you think there's any hope for them to find their way back to each other?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
The future of their relationship depends on many factors,
Okay.
including the wife's willingness to seek professional help, their ability to communicate openly and honestly,
Right.
and their shared desire to rebuild trust. It won't be easy, but if both partners are committed to working through these challenges, there's always a possibility for healing and growth, even in the face of profound change.
We've talked a lot about the wife's journey
Yeah.
and the potential explanations for her actions.
Right.
But what about the husband?
Yeah.
He's clearly going through his own emotional roller coaster.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give him?
His well-being is just as important.
Yeah.
It's essential for him to prioritize self-care, whether that's therapy, spending time with supportive friends and family,
Okay.
engaging in activities he enjoys, or simply allowing himself to feel his emotions without judgment.
Yeah.
He's going through a lot and needs to take care of himself.
His world's been turned upside down. He needs support just as much as she does.
Exactly. And sometimes the best way to support someone else is to make sure you're taking care of yourself first.
It's a good reminder for all of us.
Yeah.
This whole situation really highlights how complex relationships can be. You've got personal growth,
Yeah.
evolving identities,
Right.
mental health challenges,
Uh-huh.
and the struggle to find balance between individual needs and the needs of the partnership.
It's a reminder that relationships are dynamic and require ongoing effort, adaptation, and communication.
Yeah.
There will be times of harmony and times of dissonance. The key is to approach those challenges with compassion, understanding, and a willingness to work together.
We've covered a lot of ground here. Mental health, religious trauma,
Yeah.
the complex ethics of psychedelic use.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another big piece of this puzzle we haven't discussed yet.
Oh.
The Reddit community itself
Right.
and the role it plays in situations like this.
That's right. The online response to the husband's post was varied. Yeah.
Ranging from concern and empathy to judgment and skepticism.
Wow.
It's a microcosm of the broader conversations happening around mental health, spirituality, and personal growth.
And those conversations are exactly what we'll be diving into in part 3 of our deep dive, so stay tuned. Okay, so we're back. Ready to wrap up our deep dive into this Reddit relationship saga. We've talked about the husband's dilemma, the wife's transformation, and some potential explanations for her actions.
Yeah.
But now let's zoom out a bit
Okay.
and talk about the role of the Reddit community itself.
Yeah, it's fascinating how these online forums can act as both a source of support
Right.
and a breeding ground for misinformation.
Yeah, it's wild out there. You see people offering genuine empathy and advice based on their own experiences, but you also see a lot of armchair diagnosing
Oh, yeah.
and potentially harmful suggestions.
It can be dangerous for sure.
Right, we saw a lot of that in the comments on this post.
With people throwing around terms like bipolar and schizophrenia.
Right.
So what are the dangers of that kind of speculation,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to mental health?
It's crucial to remember that mental health diagnoses are complex and should only be made by qualified professionals.
Yeah.
Labeling someone with a condition based on limited information can be incredibly damaging.
Right.
It can lead to stigma, self-doubt, and even prevent someone from seeking appropriate help.
It's a good reminder that we need to be mindful of the weight our words carry.
Absolutely.
Especially online, where things can spread so quickly.
Right.
But on the flip side, what are some of the potential benefits of online communities
Okay.
for people who are struggling with relationship issues or mental health concerns?
At their best, these communities can provide a sense of connection and validation.
Okay.
Knowing you're not alone in your struggles can be incredibly powerful.
Right.
They can offer a space to share experiences, find support, and learn from others who've been through similar challenges.
So it's a double-edged sword. You might find comfort and understanding, but you also risk encountering misinformation and judgment.
Right.
It seems like navigating these spaces requires a healthy dose of discernment.
Absolutely. It's important to approach online advice with critical thinking.
Yeah.
Consider the source of the information, look for evidence-based perspectives, and always consult with qualified professionals when it comes to your health and well-being.
Just like anything else online, you can't believe everything you read.
Right.
You have to be your own fact checker and advocate for your own well-being.
Exactly. And remember, there are resources available beyond the online world.
Yeah.
Therapists, support groups, and mental health organizations
Right.
can provide reliable information and guidance.
Speaking of professional help, the husband mentioned that his wife has been in therapy.
Okay.
But given everything that's happened, it seems like she might need a reassessment, right?
It's definitely worth considering if someone's mental health is significantly impacting their relationships. Their ability to function or their safety seeking additional support is crucial. It might involve adjusting medication, exploring different therapeutic approaches, or even considering inpatient care in more severe cases.
And what about the husband?
Yeah.
He's clearly going through his own emotional roller coaster, watching the woman he loves go through this. What can he do to take care of himself during this difficult time?
His well-being is just as important.
Right.
It's essential for him to prioritize self-care, whether that's therapy, spending time with supportive friends and family, engaging in activities he enjoys, or simply allowing himself to feel his emotions without judgment.
Yeah.
He needs to find healthy coping mechanisms and build a support system for himself.
This whole situation really highlights the importance of open communication in a relationship, even or maybe especially when things get tough.
Right.
It seems like the wife's secrecy about the LSD retreat was a major turning point for the husband. It really damaged the trust between them.
Honesty and trust are the foundation of a healthy relationship.
For sure.
When those elements are eroded, it can be incredibly challenging to rebuild them.
Yeah.
If this couple wants to salvage their relationship, they'll need to find a way to communicate openly and honestly about their needs, fears, and expectations.
Right.
They need to rebuild that foundation of trust.
It's a good reminder for all of us to check in with our partners,
Yeah.
make sure we're on the same page, and create a space for open and honest dialogue.
Absolutely. And remember, communication isn't just about talking. It's also about listening.
Right.
Really listening to your partner's perspective, even if it's different from your own.
It's about understanding, not just agreeing.
Exactly.
This Reddit post has been like a crash course in the complexities of long-term relationships.
For sure.
We've seen how personal growth, evolving identities, and mental health challenges can impact a partnership.
It's a reminder that relationships are dynamic and require ongoing effort and adaptation. There will be times of harmony and times of dissonance. The key is to approach those challenges with compassion, understanding, and a willingness to work together.
It's been a wild ride unpacking this story, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
We've explored the individual experiences of the husband and wife, the potential role of mental health and religious trauma,
Right.
the ethical considerations of psychedelic use, and the power and pitfalls of online communities.
For sure.
It's a reminder that every story has multiple perspectives, and that engaging in thoughtful dialogue can help us navigate the complexities of human experience with greater empathy and understanding.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for you, dear listener?
Yeah.
What resonated with you most in this story? What questions are you still grappling with? We encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments section.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to dive deeper into more fascinating stories and thought-provoking discussions, be sure to subscribe to Voices of the Soul on your favorite podcast platform. And check out the Shauna Pelage YouTube channel.
That's right.
Until next time, keep exploring,
Yeah.
keep questioning, and keep those conversations flowing.
Absolutely.